Welcome back, everybody, to the League of Inches podcast Tradie show. You'll know it by now. Second week, it was back by popular demand. You all love it. You're all sending in your trades, but we love to see it. Quick apologies for the YouTube watchers. There is no slideshows, so I just have completely run out of time. It's just been a crazy week, getting prepared for Magic Round and stuff as well, and then work has been next level the last couple of days. But we will read through your trades. It just won't be up on show with a nice fancy little background, etc. So got them in himself, Jesse, along once again for this Supercoach Tradie show. There's plenty to get through, guys, and we held very well with our time last night and last night's show. A few people got back to me and I laugh about that one. We're going to test ourselves again more. We need to get through this in about 40 minutes, so let's see how we go. We've got a massive show coming up with the live show. So let's get into it, Jesse. Let's go through our trades. Who wants first up? Because I've got two options that I'm tossing up.
Go for it.
And to be honest, I could probably chuck a third in there probably after we do all these videos and have time to actually sit down and have a look at some things. And I'm sure I'll try and mix things up. So I'll talk to you about my two options at the moment. The first one, which I literally got off last night and I went and basically did straight away because it seems like the most obvious one. I went Cleary to Sam Walker, which freed me up a little bit of cash to then go turbo to Dylan Edwards. That's obviously a little bit of a gamble. I'm crossing my fingers he doesn't get selected for Origin there because I do love the Penrith run at the moment, and I think he will score quite well. A little bit annoyed with the Sam Walker buy schedule with the one coming up in a couple of weeks, which would probably mean I don't run a halfback for that round. That's obviously with Nicho Hynes there, probably playing Origin, but yeah, we'll see what happens. And my second option, so I leave Nathan Cleary for now because hopefully I'll play Nicho Hynes this weekend. And if that doesn't happen, then I'll just basically shit the bed. But hey, it's a gamble. The position I'm in, I'm ready to make these gambles. So I'm leaving him for now. I'll probably trade him out next week. There's just not many on the roster, the market that I'm actually looking like I want to get. So I've got Roger Tuivasa-Sheck to Suafa'alongo from the Melbourne Storm. So that frees me up enough cash to then make that turbo to Edwards trade, which I'm pretty set on that one. I do want to make that trade. I just feel like Edwards way, like we said from the start of the year, he'll be that consistent 70-point guy. He's now become that consistent 90-point guy. It's just ridiculous. I've got to jump on that. So what about those two options so far?
I like the second one, to be fair, man. I like it. I like the idea of getting Falongo in the team. I've tossed it up quite a lot actually with Tuivasa-Sheck myself. I'm finding it. I don't know if it's a pride thing or if I don't want to, suck it up. I don't really like paying up at the moment for any of the 680, 700 Kers. It's a shame Manu's not available. Lomax isn't on buy. I like the Farlogo play. He's good for a few weeks, and I like that it allows you to get Edwards. I think he's the best fullback for this run. I saw the State of Origin promo pictures come out today with Teddy right in the middle. So to me, that screams Tedesco is going to be the man. I don't think he's going to lose it. So Edwards has a mad run coming through, and he's been by far the best. So I'd go with that. And I think what you can look forward to next week is Dylan Brown will get dual half. That'll give you the option to move Cleary out and move Brown up if you have to. I don't know if you've got any dual 5'8" players that you can move into that position to free up a centre wing spot. But that's what I'm looking at doing next week. It might give me pretty much put Cameron Munster on my plate, but obviously Origin's right there. So I don't know what to do on my side, but I would go the second one, hold Cleary for a week. It just means that, if Hynes is out, it just means we don't have a half, and that sucks. You know what I mean?
So AE comes into it. Did you get someone? Do you get something like an AE out if that happens?
You'll get an AE. Yeah, you'll get your AE. You get a free shot at a loop as well. So, it's not the worst thing in the world. I know with my AEs at the moment, I think the worst I'll get might be like a 35, hopefully 40. You know what I mean? It's not ideal, but to just sit on your hands for a week, wait for the dual positions to come through, get more of an idea about Origin, more injury carnage potentially, and because Magic Round always has its injuries as well, especially towards the end of the week with the torn up pitch and all. I think, it might be a good idea just to hold Cleary's money and wait for the duels, move Brown and see what you can do. But I like the second one. I do, with the follow good play.
Yeah. I don't mind that as well. Does the round 13 buy for the Storm, does that make you tread a bit cautiously with Balunga, or it doesn't really matter? Pappenhausen's
If
out for
you're
about 6 or
as long
so
as you're
weeks, if not more.
yeah. Well, obviously, Pap's going to be out for about 4 more weeks from now, like, or 5, including this week, at the very least, sort of thing. If your team is in a good position for round 13, I think it's a fair play. I think you might as well just rip into it and do it. Because I'm pretty sure they play around 14. So that's the only thing that's kind of deterring me from going, any more Finns players or more Roosters because, like, I'm already stretched thin at the moment for round 13. I thought I was going to be good for it. I might have to make some plays to get those players. But then again, round 14 is going to catch you out when you need 17 players. So I think, I think if your 13's fine, he's going to be good value, definitely. And it's going to allow Edwards, who plays that whole time anyway. So, yeah, do what you've got to do. Spend your Cleary money wisely. So,
Yeah.
because at the moment, there's
No,
no
I
good
do
half
like.
options.
Yeah, I like that play because of that. Like Sam Walker, I do like, but I also feel like he does have to work quite hard to get those good points. And to be honest, his AE isn't like a real low AE. I think it's still like 60 or something. So he is a decent option. Like he's really the best option on the market, I think, if you are moving this week. But I'm happy to see what happens with Dill Brown and move around that as well. What about
Yeah.
yours? What are your trades?
Honestly, man, I haven't decided. I actually have no idea, to be honest with you. I don't know what I'm doing this week. I've been tossing up a lot of things. I kind of wish that I did just boost and get Dom Young last week, so I don't have to think about it because I don't really like him at 680. Admittedly, he is averaging, take out that send-off game, he's averaging over 90 points a game, which means at his price, he's incredible value with still a minus 31 break even. So, like, you kind of have to do it this week. But again, I don't know which way I'd go. Like, I kind of want to wait on Cleary. I don't really want to trade him yet. Um, and again, like Kai Paul's sitting there. Obviously, he has the round 13 game, which I need at the moment. But again, on the bench, so it's not dire. I'm not in a rush to move him. I'm also not in a rush to move Cleary because if it's not Matt Burton, who I think might be Origin, Sam Walker's in there again, round 14 by 78 break even too. So it's almost like you can pretty much wait on him. It's not must have. The only player that you would need to rush your team to get into would be Dom Young. But I can't do that in one move, and I don't know who else I'd trade at the moment because I kind of want to wait and see what happens. So it's put me in a weird spot. The only person I can go from two of us is check down. I like Greg Marzu, but they've got a bye next week. Knights have a decent run coming through the buys, and he's break even's quite low, 15, I'm pretty sure off the top of my head. And it's Greg Marzu, what I mean? He's a weapon. So I like him. I like Falogo as well. I've already got the cheapies, Talagi, Armstrong. So I don't want to overload it. I'm starting Kyle Hero each week, which I've been happy with, but someone great would be good. I really like Jacob Carraz. I think the Bulldogs' run throughout the buys is quite good. Even the next 6 games they've got coming up, a pretty consistent stretch of games. He's almost identical price to Dom Young with a much, much higher break even. So, I don't know if it's worth 2 trades getting Dom Young in there, dismantling a little bit, getting Carraz after round 14, because he will definitely be up in price and Carraz will be lower. So at the moment, that's where my head's at. I actually don't know what I'm doing this week. I pretty much might wait it out and be a deadline thing. Obviously, last week, we can talk about what happened with everyone's teams because it pretty much happened to all of them. Turbo dropped, Cleary, Hines, Sean Johnson, Tuivasa-Sheck. Stop me if I've missed anyone. I think I have. There's a few. AJ Brimson.
There's probably a
There's
few.
about 7 more
Brimson,
hands.
who I was actually starting to look at Brimson, even though I knew he might have become a smoky for Origin. I was actually starting to look at him as a sort of that pod type player, but then he went down towards the end of that game.
Dane Gagai
That was
too. He's
unfortunate.
named. Yeah, Dane Gagai's named this week. He was another one that I was looking at too. Don't know if he'll play or not. I doubt it. So yeah, it was a horrible round for injuries, and it's I'd already locked my trade into. I backflipped off Grant and I went straight back to Marshall King, who I intended to do that whole time. And I did speak about, you know, forget the hookers, play him cheap, get the big upside center wings, Dom Young. I didn't do it myself. I raved on about how good the move was, and I didn't do it, and it bit me in the ass. Jeremy Marshall King was pretty much the highest scoring hooker of the round as well, barring Watson. So I'm happy with the play. I'm glad I've got him for the long run. But yeah, now Dom Young's 140k dearer than he was last week, and I missed the boat. But you've still got a week. I just don't know if I'll be ripping that one off, considering I will lose a shit ton of players in 14. But with all the outs that we had, I'll go through the most traded out players that we were seeing, because they're pretty much the players that were injured last round, and it makes the most sense for them. Biggest sense out of all the works is Tom Turbo's the most traded out, 22,000 people, which, you have to. These guys are out for a long time as well. We're talking 8+ weeks. So Turbo's gone. Cleary's second by almost 20,000. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck by 15,000. Sean Johnson by 8,000. Kai Pearce-Paul, surprisingly enough, considering he's not injured, almost by 4,000 people. So considering the damage that happened last week, it's surprising his numbers are so high. But again, I was in the same position where I take out Tuivasa-Sheck and Cleary, and I'm happy to boost to get Pearce-Paul out and turn him into 2 guns and get a cheap somebody. So that's always on the cards. Trey Fuller,
Anybody.
yeah, anyone at the moment who's playing, because there aren't many. Trey Fuller's number 6. I would honestly say, if you do have him, I can see the whole point. Hammer's going to be gone for Origin. You get him back for it. I don't think it's worth it, to be fair. I don't think, with the state of our teams at the moment, well, most in general, with the injuries we had, fair enough, he's got a 21 break even. He's going to miss. He's going to play 3 rounds up until about round 19 from now. I don't think that's worth holding a fullback by any means too. So you can, if your team's fine and you're happy to hold a very valuable spot. There aren't many fullbacks left. I think the next stretch of games, you're probably looking at maybe Latrell if you're, playing a risky game. Drinkwater, good run. And yeah, Dylan Edwards, it seems like he's going to be available. So yeah, I can see why you would hold off, because there aren't a lot of options. But again, move one of your centers down for the meantime. Move your Iros and your Garricks and the like, and get yourself a good center, someone who's going to score big points. So it's an easy swap. James Schiller's number 7. People still have him, which is fair. He wasn't losing anything. Not a long hold anyway. It's only been about 3 weeks since he's been dropped. So yeah, pretty valuable if you want to upgrade him. He's not going anywhere. Brimson, almost 2,000 people. That's pretty much the 2,000 people that traded him last week, unfortunately, because he's still mad pod numbers. So that just sucks. That's horrible. But he's got a green, I think it was 6 to 8 weeks. Number 9, Ryan Pappenhausen, another 6-week injury. You got to drop him. And Ethan Strange. To be fair, I don't really understand the Ethan Strange drop to be in the top 10, considering he plays round 13. He's back from his bye. They're not going to look too great. Rapana's back, so they've got a bit of strength back in the back line, which is nice. 75 break even. He's made his money, but he's not going to drop drastically. I saw it and I was very surprised by it too, considering he's a 5'8" dual. We have just lost a shit ton of halves, and he's got flexibility to move. 5'8" centers at the moment would be very valuable. So yeah, it's a very surprising play, but I suppose, if you have nothing else to do, you've got that. But as far as the trade-ins go, go on, sorry, if you have
If
something
that
to
was
add
your
in.
move, I was about to say, if that was your move, you basically just save your trade. Just take a chance to actually save a trade for once, if that's
100%.
on your top of your list, because there's not really a standout for mine in that price bracket that you're actually trading to. I'll just hold for now.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat with you, man. I think, if I still had him too, because I don't have him anymore. I traded him out a couple of weeks ago. If I still had him, provided Cleary, he's out, I could move. If I had him, obviously, I'd just move Brown up to half, and I'd just play Strange and just bench him, maybe play Galvin each week, and just really spread the coin around in a very, touch and go position right now. So yeah, I'd probably look twice at to move for Strange out. If you don't want to play him, just don't play him. But yeah, the jewels are very handy. For your traded in
Trade in.
players, trade ins, it's as cut, copy, and standard as you would expect. Sam Walker, Dom Young, number 1 and 2. So after last week's showing, considering we just both lost, very high profile halves and center wings, yeah, they're a straight swap in. I think if you've got Cleary and Tuivasa-Sheck, you can go straight Sam Walker, Dom Young, with no budget allocations anywhere. It's a very easy swap. And I would expect, without looking at the numbers, that would be the most common trade in and out for these two guys. And to be fair, it's a good trade. Sam Walker's the only one that we're guaranteed he's not going to play Origin, who's available and fit ready right now. It's just the 14. If you can cover him for 14, you're fine. At the same time, you get Dom Young in the side, negative break even. You saw what he did last week in 10 minutes. He can do it again. Like that's the whole point of him. He's a weapon. No Joey Manu. Don't know if that makes a difference to a very good defensive Shark side at Magic Round. So I wouldn't expect 160 points again. I'd be very surprised if it's 100. But again, you never know, man. You never know with him. It could be anything. That Rooster side, one day they're amazing. Some days they just don't have it. They haven't clicked. And for as far as it's been for the last few weeks, they've been firing hard. So I like both of them. They just both come with their own bit of caution tape around the bye, around Sam Walker's injury background, but they're both flying. Definite lock-ins. Scott Drinkwater's number 3. There's everyone's turbo replacement, I'd imagine, quite comfortably. With no Origin too, so that's a locked in. And number 4 is Dylan Edwards. Very happy to see Dylan Edwards so high, but I'm also scared shitless not having him now that his ownership started to spike because he hasn't been very heavily owned at all this whole time. Well, considering, compared to the other guys, because he got priced out so fast to a point where like it was almost you think it's not sustainable. But I go back last year, it was Scott Drinkwater did the exact same thing, and it was almost like he's not sustainable. He cannot maintain 100-point average. He doesn't have it in him. He has been. He has been by far. And you know what? Depending on how the team looks, I might look at doing that move in a couple of weeks' time, maybe from Walsh, when Walsh is wrapped up in the Origin duties. Edwards isn't picked, I'll just jump straight to him. But just have to see. But again, you're paying top dollar for premium top output. You just do it. If you want the points, you have to make the sacrifice. So he looks great at number 4. Yeah, 100%, man. That's what I said last week too, or yesterday even, sorry. I wish that I almost had a fullback dilemma that could kind of force my hand into getting him, because at the moment I don't, and it's very much a luxury, and I have other problems to do, and that's the position I'm in. But I'd love to have him.
And just to put a bit of insight for what I'm thinking and my thoughts about, that's why I'm going down to Silla as well, because that allows me to free up the cash to make that trade, which I'm prioritising getting Edwards in over. It might be an overload of cheapies at the moment because I do have Blaze as well as Armstrong, but at the moment I'm happy with that because they're all fullbacks. They all should score quite well. So I'm actually not really fussed about all of them because they're all making money as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's the best thing to have in your centre wing spot is fullbacks, and we've just been blessed with at this period. We've got so many cheap cash cow fullbacks that are actually playing well. You know what I mean? Like it's really nice to have. If they were just chipping away doing shit, if there was a Chevy Stewart was your best option, he's obviously been dropped, but when he was playing, he wasn't a good option. You wouldn't want to go there. But Falongo's a great player. Again, last week the Sharks looked fantastic. I still feel like he's going to have a good game. Talagi looked fantastic. Armstrong's, in his stride now, which is good. So, yeah, there's some great picks, even though they are cheap. Give it a few more weeks, they won't be anymore, and you won't feel so hesitant to start them each round. So, I think the move that you're doing is very smart. I think they both have such incredible upside, especially Farlogo at his price. So, Matt Burton's number 5. He is my favorite half replacement for Cleary, personally. I just don't know about Origin. If he doesn't play Origin, he's got the best run. The Bulldogs have a great run, better than most. He's got the duel anyway. He's been performing way above what he's been. He's burnt owners in the past. He burnt me last year, but the Dogs look a different team. And I think this is the sort of Burton that we wanted and expected last year, and we didn't get. So, putting that season behind us, look at what he's doing currently. Same as Reid Marnie, you know what I mean? I don't want to get on him either, but can't knock his points output. He's been doing well. So we have to look at the Dogs team as a current. Burton's fantastic, and he's a dual. 760, all right, fair enough. It's expensive, but given the lack of halves we've got, he's one of the best options we have. He kicks. Dogs look good with a great buy run.
And he plays the next 4 weeks as well, and the buy that they do have, it's a standalone buy, so he'll be easy to cover and just slot someone in at the same time. So If he doesn't provide, he doesn't make Origin, because depending on who you listen to, there's strong mail to say he's firming, and then there's other mail that says Moses is going to play, even basically if he doesn't get to play a game. So depending on that, it could easily be a Hines Burton. If I was picking on form right now, I'd probably have to say that way, which is probably what I'll do in the post this week for the current Blue side based on form. But yeah, it's just so interesting because he's even smashed it at centre, and Blues aren't really screaming with centres at the moment either. Like, yes, they can cover it with Best and Crichton, but have either of them been phenomenal this year? Probably not. So where Burton has been pretty good throughout the year, even though it has been at 5'8", he's done a job at centre. So it'll just be interesting to see. I still just feel like there's going to be some shake-ups in this Blues team, which means he comes into calculation even more.
Yeah, he has to. He has to be named somewhere. I don't expect him to be named in the halves. I still reckon it's going to be a Moses and Hines combo, providing Moses is fit. It makes the most sense. But I can't rule Burton out as 14 or 18th man, to be fair. I think the Blues would be silly not to have him in, especially on the interchange. As much as a utility as he is, he can play anywhere. And they need that kicking game from somewhere too. So, yeah, it's a hard one. Because I just, that's why I'm sort of in the mindset of waiting a week, just hoping there's a bit more clarity around selection, but I don't think there will be next week either. So yeah, Burton's got an 85 break even, coming up against the Raiders this week, opening round. It could be a bloodbath for him, so we just never know. But it's one of those break evens where you can wait. He might score. He's been scoring 80s consistently, so it's basically his break even score. If you did want to wait a week, you sacrifice 80 points for a bit more clarity. Blaze Talungi's number 6. Again, we saw some good stuff last week from him, and I'm very glad that I have him and held him. So even still at 319k, I think he's a great price if you needed someone to cash down Tuivasa-Sheck to. Reece Walsh, number 7, 681. So he's another alternative to your fullback slot. Again, Origin is looming. It is Magic Round, so take him, get him in. He'll be kicking goals. He'll be lighting up the world stage this week, I reckon. I'm going to be looking at either a straight C or a VC, definitely on Walsh. He's in my plans for it. And I like to play. I think you just got to be aware that you probably want to trade him out come around 13. So it's a short plug, but you hopefully get some players back. The next 3, they're all a few cheapies. I'll just quickly go over them. David Armstrong, nearly everyone has him anyway, so it's a bit irrelevant. 300k. Jacob Gagai's back named, so he's bottom dollar still. Hasn't had his price rise yet, even though it's been 11 weeks. He's got a break even of minus 79, so he'll be making, give or take 100k off a pretty dud score. So it's not bad for a cash gen option. I think everyone's kind of in a good position for cash. Maybe I probably wouldn't get him as a cash option because there's every chance he's not named next week, and then you have another player to worry about. And then Daniel Atkinson's the last one, and early in the week when Cleary went down and I was trying to work out my trade plans, I was thinking I could just skimp the half spot entirely. I don't like any of them right now with all the stuff coming up with the Blues and the Maroon sods waiting to get named. And I thought, could we just go to Atkinson in the meantime, not play him because he doesn't do too much with Hines in the side. Minus 17 break even. He might make you a smidge of coin, be a cheap placeholder in the meantime, but Trindle's on the bench in the reserve, sorry. So he's sitting there, and I don't know who he comes in for. You'd expect him to come in for one of the two. If Hines is fit, I expect Trindle to be the 5'8". If Hines is out, I expect Trindle to probably be the halfback. And then Atkinson gets his spot. But now that Trindle's back in the side, in general, I don't think he's a viable option anymore. So it kind of rules him out entirely. Which is a bit of a shame because he had a really good game last week. But again, we just have to wait and see. So that's the top 10 traded in and out. A lot of them are pretty self-explanatory, really. And I think after last week, it's one of those, where do you go from here kind of things. But that's pretty much where I'm up to with it. Not exactly too sure.
It's quickly become a cleanup mission, I feel like, this week. I mean, even just going off those trades, there's no real planning involved. It's literally everyone seems to have at least 2 of these players that have been injured. and it's a simple trading out, trading in, fixing the crap. So,
Yeah,
which
I
is
don't.
unfortunate because it's been like that for a couple of weeks now. So it's been shitty for us super coaches who sort of tried to have a bit of a plan in place, haven't been able to produce any of it. And just the annoying part is this time of year. So you're in two minds about everything. You want to get your injured players out, but then you've also got to worry about Origin coming up and who's going to make this team now that some of these stars are out who are pretty much cemented in for those jerseys. It's a complete head fuck. And
It is.
it is just I'm so keen just to see how things go at Origin and to see what happens with teams and stuff because I feel like more and more people are starting to go, I could not give a shit about Origin. And so I feel like there's actually some chances to make some real big moves in the Origin period. But how much does that stuff up your team for the long haul? And how much trades do you want to leave yourself with the run home, which I was burnt with about 3 or 4 weeks left of Supercoach with no trades last year. And I've pretty much traded, I think, every week apart from maybe 1 week. So I might have like one up my sleeve or maybe two, but I need to soon, and probably next week, fingers crossed, I can just have a week where I just go, I'm just sitting with what I've got and just start to try and hold a little bit. But it's been so hard at
Yeah.
the moment.
Oh, it is, man. It's so tricky. It's been the worst for it. Like we just can't get a break, really. Um, we're kind of blitzing through these trades, and honestly, I look at the side that I've got at the moment, and I'm almost in two minds to not trade anyone this week. Like, there's not a single player out there at the moment, barring Dom Young with his massive break even and ceiling through the friggin' roof, that I'm like, I need to get this guy in my team this week. Like right now, I need to make this move happen. There's no one that's like that. You know, Sam Walker's break even's basically an attainable score for him, or a high score, providing the game's a bit of an arm wrestle. Same as Matt Burton. So neither of them are in a great position price point wise. There's no one else available. You've got Jock Madden, zero break even. He's one that I was tossing up around at that like high 400s. I think he's about 490k. As someone to play, but in that position, I'm almost like I don't even want to. I don't even think it's worth it. Like I'd rather just wait. What I am keen
You
for
feel a
next
bit
week.
gross getting someone like that in. You just don't, it doesn't sit right with you.
No, it really doesn't. Like I don't want to be trading out these guys for the sake of it. You know what I mean? Like as far as it goes, Cleary's in my team. He's worth 800k. He will be 800k next week, and he'll be 800k the week after. Everyone else is going to move around him, and at least I'm going to know who I can use for the next few weeks. And if I can field a full 17, I'd hope that my depth is there enough. It is. I'm pretty happy, and I'm actually trying to toss up which reserve I'm playing because I don't really know. If Cleary was there, it'd be on him for sure. But at the moment, I'm tossing up. It's not ideal, but I've got Armstrong floating around. I've got Drinkwater on my bench, Talanki as well, Lockie Galvin. I've got Kai Pierce Paul on my bench, and I'm not playing him potentially this week. Maybe I'm going to run Smithies because Pierce Paul's benched, and I just don't know how that goes for him. I think the Dogs game might be a bit of a rough one for the Raiders. So I've got Jaden Brayley as well. He's another player that I can reserve. So I think what I'll do is I might even just not trade this week at all. The only one that I would look to do would be like Tuivasa-Sheck to Suafalongo and just have him for the sake. Again, his break even is 40, so it's not it's not through the roof, but it's against the Eels. We know what he can do. The Storm have that buy run that I can get on board with, and it kind of frees up round 14 a bit for me. I just want to double check that they do play round 14. I have this feeling they do, but if I'm wrong, I have to
The
apologize.
Storm,
Yeah, they do. They play the
yeah, they
Knights in
do.
round
They
14.
play the
They just have the
Knights.
13 buy. So, yeah, it frees up that nice, valuable spot. Obviously, we're going to lose a fair few Roosters and Dolphins players there, but if you have someone to cover it, he'll definitely be named. I can't imagine Pap's going to be there by then. So that's the only thing that I'm thinking about doing this week. Genuinely, I might
Yeah,
sit on Cleary, wait for the jewels. Potentially, Jerome Hughes is back next week. Um,
big,
could be a
big
play
time.
there. Could be a big play. That'll be round 12 to next week, and then Jerome Hughes might be named. And then they've got the bye in round 13. So obviously it's a calf injury, and Jerome Hughes has had a ton of them. I burnt myself getting Cleary straight back in the week he was named back after an injury. So Hughes is back next week. and I still have Cleary, which I most likely will, there's every chance I don't trade Cleary again next week. And then for round 14, I trade in Jerome Hughes. That's what I'm half looking at doing. But then again, Burton frees up. Oh no, sorry, Burton. Dylan Brown gets his dual half, and then all 5/8s become a new option, and then it might be money. Could finally get the dumpsters their namesake. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm up to with it, man. But I think if you're dire and you don't have any players this week and you're desperate for it, I think you can't look past Sam Walker, Dom Young, because you're going to get 3 more weeks out of him, and then just assess the damage in round 14. We can't even get to the next week as it stands, knowing what your side's going to look like. So it's very hard to predict what it's going to look like in 3. So kind of let that one slide a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get stuck into some of these trades while we've got the chance to. So straight up, Chris Ross. So decided on Cooler, but could have got Stewart or True, but that was for his trade at RTS. Could have played around and got Dill Edwards into the team, but unsure. Thought I had to do the Lane to Gardner trade and start beefing up the forwards. So what I'll say about that is Sorensen is due back very, very shortly. I think he's on the extended bench this week, so he might have one more week. The Cleary stuff might have scared Pender to name these players, so he might get one more week. Gardner, and he is playing well, but it won't be. He won't get 80 minutes from next week. I'm very confident in saying. So it's literally a 1 week play. And then probably cover for Liam Martin, obviously, who will be in Origin, in my opinion. So you might get him for a couple of those weeks as well. But, yeah, I don't know if that's the right play. If you want to start beating up the forwards and go to someone around the Garner price, I think there's a couple of others out there that are probably a better bet to go for.
Yeah, well, Garner hasn't played 80 minutes in these 2 games either. He played 58 odd, and then I think it was about 60, 70. He's just been scoring tries and a couple, I think. So, look, it's good for a cash grab. It's good for probably that first game Origin, because I do expect Liam Martin to be named, but for not any valid reason. He hasn't been anything fantastic. It'd just be going off familiarity, I think, for the Blues. So, it's a short-term thing. I think with the way things are going, you could avoid it. You could let that one go. But yeah, if it's just a stepping stone burn of a 2 trade move thing, you can. But I wouldn't like to do it. Wouldn't like to trade Garner in at the best of times. Just with that Cooler move too, just to bring it up, the Manly run is horrendous the next few weeks. He played 2 games against the Bulldogs and the Tigers, the last 2 games of the season, once they were dead and buried. Brained it, absolutely flied, and scored, almost over 300 points in 2 weeks. They've got the Broncos this week at Magic Round. They've got Melbourne next week. Admittedly, it's in Brookie, so it's better than Amy Park. Then they've got the bye, and then they've got the Panthers. The worst 3 teams to come up against for a new fullback. Essentially, he's played 2 games in that position, admittedly very well, but against very bad sides at a very, very generous time of the year. So, I think his break even isn't anything nice and flash. It's not 10. It's not minus something. It's about 50 plus, almost 60. So you can let that one go this week. I think get yourself an idea about it, engage him. His price is still nice. It's less than 500. And I think by next week, it's probably going to still be less than 500. But yeah, the Broncos have leaked a lot of points to fullbacks recently too. So it's a very touch and go. It's a tricky position to be in, but I still don't rush to do it. Not with Melbourne, the bye, and then the Panthers straight after. It's deterring. It's even scary having Garrick in my side, looking at what's coming up and just knowing I have to have him. I've got to run with him now. So
I'm in the same boat. Cooper Ashley, this is all Instagram first off. So RTS to Dom Young. Can't stand another week watching him be that good. And second, thinking DWZ to Marju. Holding Cleary because thinking Dylan Brown with the dual position next week. Yeah, we were talking about that last bit, so that is great thinking. Yep. Don't mind either option of the other 2 as well. Like in a perfect world, I would love to try and get Dom Young in. I just can't work it out with my price, so I'm just going to have to say, put my hand up and go, congrats Dom Young, congrats owners, and I just couldn't make it work, unfortunately. But both of those trades, I think you're improving your centre wings quite well. DWZ just hasn't worked. For me I advised to get rid of him. I got rid of him I think 2 weeks ago now. And Marju, bottom dollar, the only way's up in my opinion, and he can't be that bad for that long. So surely he starts to get some more base and stuff behind him.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna echo your thoughts right there too. I think it's probably time to cut ties with Dallin. They don't look good. They're on the decline. So yeah, get on to Marzi. He looks like he's on the way back up. A couple of good weeks in a row now. Good base. Armstrong likes to go left, it looks like. So he's complimenting him. He could have had more points too. Marzi could have had massive points last week had he not dropped them. So yeah, I really like him. I really, really like his price. He's very low 500s. He's got a 15 break even or something like that. Like this is his floor now. I think this is as low as we'll get him. Yeah, it's a nice play. It really is. It's just obviously you lose him next week, which kind of sucks, but should have enough coverage to sort of make do. But yeah, good news.
I agree. Now heading over to Facebook. First up is the subbies in the subby group. So guys, if you haven't already, make sure you become a subby. A lot of exclusive content. Go in the draw every second week to win a double pass, and literally it's only $2.99 a month. And you literally get double passes every fortnight. Crazy value. Please make sure you go ahead and enter that. The group, fantastic. It's week to week. It's every game has its own thread and stuff, so you get in-game discussion as well. Our opinions as we go. First up, Jason Murphy. We're going to zoom through these. Turbo to Edwards, tick. Cleary to fuck knows.
How much money do you have?
Jason, that's the thing. We might actually message you in the subbies group after we've done the shows and stuff.
100%.
Because as we're saying, like you might get into be a position. I actually want to know your four halves, because you might be in a position where you can hold Cleary for that week and just see what happens. You might be able to strengthen something else or just save a trade. Like this time of year, if you can save that trade, I think it's actually becoming very valuable for all the shit show that we're dealing with.
100%, yeah, definitely. I just think holding Cleary this week is so smart, but yeah, can't knock anyone to make that trade. But I'd love to know how much coin you've got left and who's available for it. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Jason Perlesi, he's a League of Inches member as well now. Nathan Cleary to Sullivan and Sherry to Young. We've got to be careful what we say here. Sherry to Young, I don't mind. Sullivan,
I'm guessing Sullivan from the Tigers.
Yeah.
Okay, Sullivan.
I would hold that trade happening. Like I don't think you're getting rid of Cleary for Sullivan. That's not what it's like.
Yeah. I don't love it. To be fair, he's 400k minus 17 break even. They're playing the Finns. I think Caesar's out for another 3 or so weeks, thereabouts. They play around 12. They play the Cowboys next week, and then they've got the bye, and then they have the Dragons. So by then, I would imagine Caesar's probably close to coming back around. That's a thing. Like, it's tricky too, because I don't expect massive stuff out of him. I expect a bit of a price rise out of him, but I don't think it's enough to warrant a trade in and then a trade out. He's not the guy you want to run with for a long period.
I'd just hold Cleary until someone stands out a bit more.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's just no one standing out. There's so many players too that we aren't even considering. Like, we're not looking at Cherry Evans at the moment because obviously Origin. We can't look at Moses because he's still out this week. Freaking hell. Who's I can go through the whole list. There's no one left. At the same time, you look at, like, if you're looking at O'Sullivan, you could look at Katoa from the Dolphins, you know what I mean? And there's more buy coverage. Admittedly, you don't have him for round 14. Like, that's the kind of caliber. You might be getting a 30, you might get a 60. I don't like the trade in for it. If you had him or not, fair enough, you can just run with him. But yeah, I think it frees up cash. Who was the second move that he was doing?
Sherry versus Young. Give me a yes or no, because we've got to get moving here.
Nah. I don't know. It's so hard. Sherry's great. They got the run. He's going to play around 14 and 13. Dom Young's got the price. Dom Young for the upside. Get Sherry around 14.
That just gets a yes for me, just because Young's young at the moment. Shane Heron, another subby. Cleary to Walker. We don't mind that one at all. Olam to Karaz. Don't mind that at all either.
Oh
If you've
yeah.
got Justin
The
Olam
thing
for some
is,
reason, yeah,
yeah,
perfect.
that's weird. Probably had him from when he came back in and had that mad low break even. I like Karaz. I love him. I love him more than Dom Young for this run. I'll stand by it. I think he's got the best run coming up. I think he's got probably a great upside compared to him. It's just, who do you commit to? They're the same price. Dom Young, Karaz, identical price. One break even is here. Dom Young's break even is below, minus 30. So the prices next week will be way apart, but Karaz has the runs. So I'm a big fan of that play, big time. Wish I had him already.
I agree. Guys, that's all we've got time for. That's been a massive show. We've got so much in there. It took us 40 minutes. That's ridiculous. We're setting new records for ourselves at the moment. The standard has just been risen. The amount of stuff we can get through in minimal time. I didn't think this was possible for us, but here we go. Guys, let us know your trades as well. We've got an extra day as well because obviously it starts all Friday. Tomorrow night or tonight when you do listen to this, it's the Women's Origin game. So good luck to the Blues. Up the mighty Blues against those Cane Toads. I'll be watching that. So keen to watch that one. The women just rip into each other. How good. But yeah, have a look at your super coaches. You get that extra day to do some magic and probably to hear about 3 other players, including Nico Hines is out. See your magic round if you're up here for it. Shout out, have a say hello, grab a drink or whatever, and we'll chat some footy. See you guys then.